Okay, is it working? Yes, it looks like it is. Happy. All right, closing out of that. Autoplay is on live. We're live. All right, I'm running a little experiment. There we go. Okay, experiment complete. First, well, not exactly complete. So, hey, everybody who's live, raise hand security. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how now to record. And Zoom, mute, stop video, participants. Record to cloud. There we go. That's what I wanted. Recording. I love experiments. So awesome. Hey, everyone. HeatherAsh Amara here. And this is my first experimental, we could say, live Warrior Goddess Revolution podcast. Today, we're going to focus on the triple fire energies of change, which are inspiration, intent, and intuition. So I'm just going to take a moment and let everyone gather and get settled. For those of you that are watching live on YouTube, I will pop over there and see if you have any questions at the very, very, very end. But mostly I'm going to ignore that part of the world. I've been doing Warrior Goddess Revolution podcast for a couple months now. And one of the things that I've noticed is that it's been rough to get it like consistent with my schedule. So I thought, well, one thing I can do is do it live, and then that gets me live, which means that I'm doing the recording. So, hey, to any of you that are watching live on YouTube or watching later, I am tuning in live from outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, my new little office studio. Don't you love the wraparound forest? It's pretty awesome. And then in front of me, just so you could see it, look, is the sky. So this is my office outside of my land. I'm about a half hour from my land right now, and super excited to be doing this podcast again, Warrior Goddess Revolution. I want to welcome everyone. First time that I'm doing it live on YouTube, and we will then have the recording up later. We'll also be editing the audio and posting it up on warriorgoddess.com/podcast. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back, everyone, to Warrior Goddess Revolution. We have episode 6 today. And our exploration today is on what I think of as a triple fire of change: intent, inspiration, and intuition. And I'm recording this podcast on February 2nd, Candlemas. It's a really special day for a couple different reasons. One, Candlemas is the cross quarter day in the Northern Hemisphere between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So we're really in the in-between time. We're not in winter, we're still in winter, but we're moving towards spring. But traditionally, the ancestors, this was a time of really taking stock in the Northern Hemisphere of food supplies. How much do we need to sustain ourselves until the harvest, until the planting and the harvest? And for those of you that are in the Southern Hemisphere, you are in the cross quarter day. It's the halfway point between summer solstice and fall equinox. So moving from the longest day of the year now back into the darkness. One of the things that I love about Candlemas is that it's a reminder for us to pause and to reflect, as all the cross-quarter days are. Each of the cross-quarter days are considered fire festivals, and they give us the invitation to check in with ourselves of how is my inner fire? How is it burning? And at this time, when we're in a lot of what I think of as in-betweens, we're in an in-between time. So not in winter, not in spring, in that passageway between. We're in a time in the world right now, February 2nd, 2021, where we have a vaccine, but we don't know if it's going to be effective as the virus continues to mutate, and if we can get it rolled out quickly enough. We have a new government in the United States, but there is a lot to navigate, and will new government be able to really help with the incredible amount of upheaval we're having right now, economic, social, health, obviously. And we're also in between, for many of us individually, relationships, jobs, paychecks, homes. There's a lot of shifting and transforming happening. And I also believe we're between paradigms. We're moving out of an old paradigm of domination and control and power over, forcing what I think of as excess of warrior. But we're not yet in a new paradigm. We're in the space where we're not quite sure, how are we going to do it in a different way? And these times are really potent. They're really powerful because they're times when things are wobbly, which means there's room for new things to enter. I think about these times as the phoenix. So the phoenix has burned down, and from the ashes, something new will arise, but we don't know what the new thing will be yet. And so there can be a lot of discomfort in these times. It's also personally today a really special day for me because it is the 20th anniversary of an organization that I founded 20 years ago in 2000 called the Toltec Center of Creative Intent. And that center, we had one in Berkeley for many years. And then when I moved to Austin, we had another center in Austin for about 4 years before we closed that center. And really, since then, I've been on the road. So it was right as we were closing the Toltec Center in Austin that warrior goddess training started becoming super popular and started going out in the world more. And I ended up after that not having kind of a home base for many, many years and doing a lot of traveling. So I've landed in outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm the steward of 180 acres of land, and that's been a long-term dream to have that land. So that's super exciting. And I'm looking at bringing the center back. It was been in hibernation basically, and bringing that form, the Toltec Center, back into reality in some way, bringing it out of hibernation. So we will see what that looks like. But the Toltec Center, as well as Candlemas, is a fire festival that is often dedicated to the goddess Bridget. She's a really ancient Irish goddess, and she's the triple goddess of smith crafting, poetry, and healing. And those may seem like three very different and various qualities that she is the goddess of. Smith crafting, which is metalworking, poetry, creativity, and healing. And she's also often the goddess of midwives. But each of those qualities has fire associated with them. And as I was meditating this morning, I realized that those qualities also beautifully fold into the three qualities of change within the warrior goddess community. And those three qualities are intent, inspiration, and intuition. So I'm going to do a weaving today. We're going to braid together these triple goddess qualities with the focus of warrior goddess change, transformation, those qualities of intent, inspiration, and intuition. And we'll see what else wants to braid in today. I'm sure there'll be something. So intent. Intent is our focus. It's that 100% commitment. We've talked about this, that warrior yes. And I connect that with smith crafting. And what smith crafting was, if you think about this in communities many, many moons ago, when we were much more agrarian based, when we were close to the land, where we were in communities that were much more based in the seasons and the cycles, the person in the community who was the smith was really important because the smith was the one that could make tools to to garden, to farm, could make weapons if needed, could make objects for the kitchen. Okay. So this alchemy of taking metal and bringing it into a molten form, into a more liquid form, and then using heat and pressure to bring it into strength. Okay, that's what metalworking is that you're basically tempering steel, and how you temper or temper metal is heat and pressure. Okay. And so this alchemy of moving something solid into a liquid and back into a solid in a useful form is that craft of metalworking, and is an incredible use of fire. For the within the warrior goddess community, one of the fires that we work with is the fire of our intent, which is our focus. Where are we putting our energy? And I liken it to this, is that when we have strong intent, that even when an obstacle arises, even when something gets really challenging, we're able to stay steady and use that obstacle to temper ourselves, use the pressure, use the heat to craft ourselves so that we're using the fire to strengthen rather than using the fire to diffuse or diminish ourselves. And in our world, in our life, there's always going to be fires. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be places of challenge. And so, how do we use the fire? Do we use it to craft ourselves as this beautiful tool that we can be? Or do we use the fire to hurt ourselves, against ourselves, to judge ourselves, to compare ourselves, and to not have that central core that we're working to build? Okay, so using our intent, imagining that we are smith crafting our lives, that we're using heat and pressure and focus to craft ourselves, to release what doesn't serve, so that we can be in that center channel of our connection to our authentic core self. The second quality is inspiration. And I liken that to the Bridget quality of poetry. She's a goddess of these three things: miscrafting, poetry, and healing. Poetry is about opening ourselves to allow something larger to come through, to be inspired, to be breathed by the goddess, to be breathed by God. So, inspiration means that we're allowing ourselves to be this channel for the divine to come through us and breathe life into us. We don't claim this is mine. No, I really feel like the some of the best poets know that they're getting out of the way for something larger to come through. There's a really beautiful story that I share from Elizabeth Gilbert, who did a TED talk about creativity. And in that TED talk, she talks about a poet that she had met who was also a farmer and would be out in the fields. And she said she could feel a poem coming her way. And that when she could feel that poem coming her way, she would turn and she would run as fast as she could, as quickly as she could, to catch the poem. So she'd be at her desk and catch the poem. And that she could also feel the poem sometimes go by. She would miss it. And she would know, okay, that poem is going to somebody else. So, this idea of creativity, if we don't try and make creativity happen, but if we set the stage for creativity, if we open ourselves to allow creativity to flow, then we allow ourselves to be in relationship with something greater. And we let ourselves be the vessel for this inspiration to come through. And you all have probably felt that sense of when you're trying to force creativity or force beauty to happen through your words or through anything that you're crafting. And so, how do we start living our lives more as poetry, more as art? To use our words in the service of beauty, to use our actions in the service of beauty, and to continue to invite ourselves to be in relationship with the invisible, to be in relationship with God, Goddess, Divine, as one of the messengers of the divine. That we're grounding our feet on the earth and opening our being to the sky to be this bridge, this channel, this connection between the information that's all around us. It's so fun. Sometimes I get images, and sometimes it's hard to translate them into words. But being this bridge between earth and sky means that you're here, you're grounded, you're in your body, and you're also connected to the invisible, and that you're inviting that art to come right here, right now, to be the channel between the two. And then our last one, and that's inspiration again, being inspired, having that bright fire of your inspiration, and letting everything inspire you, seeking out things that inspire you. Let's put it that way. With intent, your intent is to use everything to strengthen and build and soften you as well, because strength is also vulnerability. And with inspiration, the intent is that you're also using everything to be more present and to explore what lights me up. What do I love? Do more of that. Do more of what inspires you and take in more inspiration. How do we get inspired? We find, we seek, we explore what inspires us and put ourselves in those realms. And then our last quality is intuition, which is connected to that third trinity, the third in our trinity of healing. So again, Bridget's qualities are poetry, smith crafting, and healing. And this is healing on all levels. And I link healing to intuition because what allows us to heal, to really heal physical, emotional, mental, is being in direct relationship with our intuition. Rather than trying to figure out from our mind what will heal me, what will help me to come into wholeness, into integrity. That's really what healing is. It's coming back into integrity. And that we can find that through accessing our intuition, getting quiet so we can listen. What's needed here so we can rest? What's the medicine to bring that I want to bring to myself? And then that medicine, then we also see as a medicine that we want to bring to the world. As I really believe the best healing happens when we're bringing that healing through our own physical form into our emotional being, into our energetic being, into our mental being, and we're letting it then expand out. And that the healing is coming from not, I'm broken, I have to fix myself, but it's coming from, there's something that needs to be brought back into alignment. That's something that needs attention inside of me. And that quality of connecting to your intuition as one of the main ways that you heal. means that instead of looking outside of yourself constantly for what will fix me, that your attention comes inside, your attention comes to your own wisdom. From that wisdom, you then can feel into what support you need, what guidance, what is the healing and the medicine. It doesn't mean you have to heal everything on your own. Healing isn't about you are alone and you must figure it all out. Healing is about coming back into relationship with all aspects of yourself and with community. We heal together. We really do heal together. So often the places that we have hurt or wounding or fear happen from the way we were raised, our interaction with other humans. And so the healing also needs to be in relationships. It doesn't have to be in the specific relationship. You know, if you had harm, if you created harm or you had harm done to you in a relationship of any sort, that the healing will come, maybe not within that particular relationship. Maybe there isn't an opportunity for healing in that form, but there will be another form, another friendship, another connection that will offer you healing. And if you stay connected to your intuition, you'll be able to catch, oh, this is another cycle. Here's another place, an opportunity to heal. So these three qualities all work together. These forms of change, intent, inspiration, intuition. And I had right before I came onto the podcast today, this a beautiful visual of those three qualities. And I thought, you know, our intent is like the head of a bird, the focus of where the bird is going. So if you think about an eagle or a hawk or even a hummingbird, that where their beak and their eyes are pointing is the direction that their body is going to go. And that's warrior, that's focus, intent, commitment. And then the wings are the goddess qualities, inspiration and intuition. And we need both of those wings. They work together. Our inspiration and our intuition work together, and they work with our intent as well. Our intent says, this is where I'm going. And then we need to build the fire of our inspiration to keep us going, to keep us sustainable. We also want to build the fire, which is a still fire, a central fire of our intuition. Think about our inspirational fire is our heart fire, our love, our creativity, our curiosity. And our intuitive fire is about our stillness, our connection to stillness, our capacity to bank our own coals, to get quiet, to listen. And we need both wings as well as the head of our inner bird, we can say. So we need to become that bird and realize that that bird is a phoenix that is about learning how to be in relationship with the fire. And that sometimes that fire is burning really, really bright. We want to be careful not to burn ourselves out. Again, sustainable fire. And that fire, we're also learning how to make that fire really bright, to call up our inspiration when we need it, especially when we need some extra energy. And also how to still that fire so that we can get really quiet and listen and allow new things to emerge in the field of our being. So there's some thoughts around this triple fire of transformation and change, intent, inspiration, and intuition, and how they're connected to this sacred day, cross-quarter Candlemas, and the qualities of Bridget, smith crafting, poetry, and healing. So let's close today by asking a question and having you explore, of these three qualities, intent, inspiration, and intuition, which one feels like needs your most attention? Where do you want to build your fire right now? Do you want to build the fire of your intent? Do you you want to build the fire of your inspiration? Do you want to build the fire of your intuition? And just pick one area to focus on. They're all connected. It's really helpful when we're wanting to create change in our lives to keep breaking things down into baby steps, to not get overwhelmed, but to really say, okay, I want to bring my attention to one of these three qualities. And then what's my next baby step in relationship to intent or inspiration or intuition? Blessings on you as you continue to build the fire within you so that you can continue to deepen into self intimacy and stillness and steadiness, which are qualities that we also need during these times. Many blessings to you, and thank you for being part of the Warrior Goddess Revolution.